Hello everyone, welcome back. So this is the second in the series of Comfort Reads videos I have decided to make. And my last one was about a guide to country New England inns from 1984 to 85. And my Comfort Reads are going to be quite different from regular Comfort Reads, I believe. That is why for the longest time I felt like I didn't have comfort reads, because most people's comfort reads tend to be novels and that sort of thing, whereas mine tend to be books like this, the Military Book Club Survival Handbook by Peter Darman, based on the survival skills taught to the Green Berets, Commandos, SEALs, and other elite forces of the world. So this is a book that my dad actually got in a bundle from the Military Book Club years and years ago, back in the 90s, and it sat on a bookshelf at his house. And I found it one day, and this quickly became the book that you would see me reading anytime when I was younger. And we're talking when I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. I read and reread this book, and looking back, I have realized kind of the depressing reason why that is. At the time when I was young, I was not in it was not the best of times or the best of situations. I was very anxious and unhappy, and I had this idea that stuck with me much longer than I would care to admit. It took me many years to realize this. I was trying to learn as much as I possibly could in order to never be caught off guard, to never be out of my depth, to always know the answers to everything and have the right words to say, the right things to do, etc., etc. You know, it was very much this idea of knowledge as security. And it took me a long time. I was into my 20s before I realized that that's what I was trying to do, and that I was searching for, like this golden book you would open up, and all the knowledge would beam right into your head, and you would never, ever again be insecure about your knowledge. You would never again not know the answer to something, and that's what I was searching for. And that is, I think, characteristic of the sort of situation I grew up in and how I reacted to it. I don't want to go in depth about that, but that's the way it was, and that's the way I was dealing with life at the time. And this book was very easy for me to understand even at that age, because it is cut up into little segments. I don't know if that'll show. Small segments about different things. And when you're a little kid, you don't quite realize that the things that will actually be important to you as an adult are not really the things that you think will be important to you. Like, learning how to make a boat out of branches and animal hides or whatever, or learning how to ford a raging river or prevent frostbite. Or the one thing about this book I can say is that it taught me, I have memorized basically how to do an emergency tracheotomy. I hope that I never, ever, ever have to do that, but I know how to do it if I need to. But it has all kinds of things on first aid. There are a lot of different chapters. Ropes and knots, how to secure things, shelters in different climates, how to fillet a fish, bird traps, animal tracks, poisonous fungi, edible fungi, ice fishing. Can't seem to get it to focus. And I think, as a kid, I was really drawn to the pictures, the illustrations anyway. They're not really pictures, but they are illustrations. Here's how to secure sutures. how to deal with dislocations. And, you know, this also appealed to me as a writer when I was younger because it's an interesting idea, right? What if you're trapped in the woods and you have to survive? And how would your characters react? And what would they do? How would they survive? How would they deal with these obstacles and the weather and finding food and all of that? And let's see, mountainous terrain, polar regions, how to survive on the ocean, signaling and navigation, improvised tools and weapons, food, fire, water, guidelines for foreign travel, which is really kind of interesting. And it will tell you things about certain places in the world that are dangerous. Let's see, Burma, the Golden Triangle and near the Chinese border are no-go areas. And keep in mind, this is the 90s, so things have changed quite a bit. Thailand, do not criticize the Thai royal family. You could end up in jail. Avoid the areas along the Burmese and Cambodian borders. Of course, Burma now is Myanmar. Let's see, Uganda. Despite the cessation of hostilities between the government and rebels, the army is committing abuses in the north and east of Uganda, and there are gangs of armed bandits roaming the country. Avoid. Just very, very broad things like that. Here's how to make different kinds of fires. So this appealed to the young kid in me who wanted to have all the answers and to know what to do in every situation. And it appealed to the writer in me as I was learning how to write stories. And here are snow caves and molded dome shelters in the Arctic and Antarctic. Here's how to build a platform shelter and a seashore shelter and a hammock. And yeah, anyway, I read this book for years and years. I haven't read it in a long time, but this was very comforting to me when I was younger. And whenever I was in a situation that I didn't have anything else to do, when I was in situations I didn't want to be in, I would usually be reading this book. So that is the Military Book Club Survival Handbook by Peter Darman from what year? Let's see. I would like to know what year this was published in. 1994. So this book is almost as old as I am. Like I said, I have moved on and realized that the things that are in this book are not all that useful for me as an adult in my life situations, but it was sure comforting when I was younger. And so I will be making another video about my comfort reads and hopefully several more. And I want to thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.